You ready? Time is now 6:33, I believe. I'm called to order the Tuesday, October 27, 2015 meeting of the Tilton Planning Board. And the first thing on our agenda is a compliance hearing. This is to verify the fulfillment of conditions from the 7/14/15 conditional approval to expand Tilton School's athletic facility to include 6 new tennis courts at 21 Pillsbury Lane in the Village Residential District. And let's go to this and see what the conditions are. I'm going to read these briefly. The board voted to approve with the following conditions. Number 1, light spill issues associated with the turf field lighting shall be resolved to the satisfaction of the Tilton Board of Selectmen. 2, planting of appropriate coniferous screening trees serving to visually screen the facility's parking lot and an electrical box from the residence located at 1 Pillsbury Lane shall be completed by October 15, 2015. Number 3, stormwater operations and maintenance plan shall be submitted to the land use coordinator. And 4, satisfaction of all conditions shall be confirmed at a compliance hearing on October 27, 2015. If this is October 27th, then we should be able to confirm or at least discuss in detail all of the conditions. So, Peter, I'd like to turn it over to you, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So let's take these in the order that they have come. On number 1, the light spill issues. We've been working very closely with the property owner over several meetings to resolve the light spill issues. We've made great progress. We have not resolved them to the satisfaction of the Tilton Board of Selectmen yet because we're still waiting on a proposal from the neighbor. We certainly have reached out several times to meet with the neighbor. There was a delay in a response. There was a meeting today with the school and the neighbor and the designer who are supposed to submit a potential solution. And we have tried really hard to make that process go fast, but we just have not had success in that area. So I think number 1 is probably not resolved yet, just because the selectmen haven't had a position on it yet. But I think the selectmen would say that certainly we have tried and are working with the neighbor.
I spoke with the chairman of the board,
Yeah.
and I know you and she met, and she told me that you were moving forward, but that it was not resolved yet.
It's definitely not resolved.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to explain to the board is that we've talked in the past about spillage, and from what the Selectman Constantino explained to me, it isn't spillage that's the issue.
Correct.
It's as if I were, I mean, this is the only way I know to describe it, it's if I were sitting here with a bright LED light, and Catherine and I were having a conversation, and I shined it directly in her eye. The light actually shines directly in the eye of the person sitting in the chair on the porch. So that gives us a better understanding.
Yes.
So, because I've been out there when measurements were taken on the spillage, and we thought we had resolved that by directing the lights different ways, but that really isn't the issue, just to clarify.
Absolutely. The spillage issue is below what the vendor supplied us. The issue is the actual light itself, and what we're looking for Tanis's situation is an actual screen for her, which she is using her designer to help propose a solution. So
Okay.
we're in support of that. I'm not anticipating a problem. If she wants the $85,000 shade, then I would say we have a problem, but I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Can I proceed to number 2? Okay, so planting of appropriate coniferous screening trees serving to visually screen the facility's parking lot and electrical box and residence located at 1 Pillsbury Lane shall be completed by October 15th. On October 15th, we had coniferous trees planted around the electrical box, which is Mr. Jones's primary concern. Additionally, we planted a series of 6 trees. These are not coniferous trees. These were relocated from other parts of the property that I believe screen the parking lot adequately. One key thing which is not being completed yet is we have a 10-foot fence with a screen which is part of the tennis court that has not been constructed yet. Once that's constructed, Mr. Jones should not be able to see the parking lot from his property. Standing on, I mean, he'll see it from the second floor, but on his lawn, he should not have an issue with that. I've communicated with Mr. Jones about email after the trees went in. I asked him if he had any concerns. His reply was, what about the parking lot? So the trees were screening the electrical box, I believe. And I told him once the fence was built, the rest of the parking lot should be cut off. So I believe I'm in compliance with number 2.
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
Oh, it says specifically coniferous screening trees. Did you plant deciduous trees along the parking lot?
Well, we planted deciduous trees along the edge of the parking lot as part of the original landscaping design. But the trees are staggered so that they screen the parking lot. So there's 6 trees that are planted like this, and they effectively screen the parking lot.
Why, is that what, did he want that, or I'm just curious why the switch to,
It was using the existing trees that were already in place from the original landscaping plan. So I used coniferous screening trees around the electrical box, which I thought was the intent of the proposal, not to plant 15.
Well, it says serving to visually screen the facility's parking lot and electrical box.
Well, he's putting up a screen, a
Looking
permanent
at a
screen, I
screen-
guess, so.
Looking at a screen is not the same as looking at natural vegetation.
Well, the screen was part of the tennis court design from day one. I mean,
Right, but
this is not a
specific,
supplementary fence.
this condition specifically says coniferous screening trees. And the conversation was specifically for that. How wide is the parking lot that we're
Parking-
trying to hide?
The parking lot is 150 feet long. There's 15 10-foot parking spaces. 40 of that is between 35 and 40 feet of that is outside the screening of the tennis court fence. So we're talking about, call it 40 feet that is being screened by the 8 trees that I've planted, or 9 trees that I've planted.
Could I just ask a question for my own visual? Will this fence, the screening fence, is this like a chain link fence with like a fine mesh that goes around it?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
tennis court screening. I just remembered I brought this.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
This is the Jones property.
Mhm.
This is the tennis court section here. This is a 10-foot high black vinyl fence with a wind screening. All screening on all 3 sides, which will block this amount of the parking lot. And then these are the location of the coniferous trees, and these are the staggered deciduous trees. The locations are not measured exactly, but that was the pattern set up by the landscape designer on those pieces. So that's what we did, and I thought I was in the spirit of the clause. This was the primary concern of Jones. This is what he talked about. There's also an additional, you might remember from the other meeting, there's an additional row of 7 trees on this property line right here as well,
That he planted himself.
that he planted.
deciduous?
Coniferous.
Coniferous.
Is
I
he-
think it's arborvitae, isn't it?
It's that's coniferous.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, arborvitaes are the same trees that I planted here. So,
Which are fast growing and good
Yeah.
screening.
Is
Deer
this-
resistant?
Is that kind of what the screen will look like?
Very strict.
More or less.
No, deer love them.
Just for, just so it's other
I
people.
will
Blow them
Fine.
down.
I never had that problem. I have one here.
Well,
Okay.
deciduous trees are not gonna hide as evergreens or coniferous trees would. Their branches are typically up high, not on the ground like a coniferous tree.
right. There's-
So,
But there's also, this property slopes, as you can see from the contours. The property slopes generally like this. And the trees do a good job of blocking the view of the basically 3 parking spaces.
What's the distance between the last coniferous tree and the corner of the court?
This distance
Yeah.
looks like it's about 10, 25 feet.
25 feet? Okay, well, I was just trying to get a feel for how many feet would be exposed if,
Right.
okay.
Is Mr. Jones satisfied with this, or?
I have no
We know?
idea.
We don't know?
I mean, I emailed him saying, what do you think? And his response was, the parking lot. I think literally that was his concern. And I think he wasn't, this is taken care of. He can see this whole thing right now because this is just a concrete pad. So when this is a 10-foot high fence, which, this is what we discussed at the, pretty sure the last, either this meeting or the meeting before about, that would be the primary blockage to the parking lot.
And Mr. Jones did receive a letter of this meeting, right?
No, this meeting was essentially noticed at the
Okay.
last meeting.
All right.
Continuation of notice was provided because
All
the
right.
date was set, unlike Mr. Bernard's hearing where we didn't set a date, so notices went out on that one, but not this one.
Okay.
But he was here in attendance when you guys set the date.
you probably expected a reminder.
All right, let's move on to 3 and we can come back to 2 and
Okay.
discuss it in more detail.
I believe that maintenance plan was submitted just days after the last hearing,
That's
so.
right. Yep, I have copies of it if anyone's interested, and it was sent out with your materials.
Okay. I think in view of the fact that number 1 is not resolved yet, and there are questions about number 2, that I would like to entertain a motion to continue until we do resolve 1, and you can come and give us a report that that is resolved.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, 1 is not resolved, but I want the planning
Yeah.
board to know that it's not because of Tilton School.
I was told that by the chairman of the board of selectmen,
Okay.
that you had worked very diligently.
I can tell you
Resolve it.
firsthand that that was the case, that
Yeah.
they have reached out and reached out and reached out and gotten no answer.
At what point do we say, okay, they've reached out, but they're not getting any cooperation from the person they're trying to appease?
I believe that there was a meeting today, and that very well could be the resolution. But we need to wait to hear from both Canis and from the school as to what resolution they've come to.
Well,
It's not vicariously that there's been no response.
No, but
It's not just that they're ignoring the school, that they've had some issues, so.
well, I just, if we say, okay, they have to come back at our next meeting, are we gonna be back here again saying, we're trying, at what point does it become unfair to the school? They're trying, and is the person that we're trying to appease,
Well, it's to the satisfaction of the board of selectmen, so
I
when,
can tell you the board of selectmen has asked that question to themselves as well.
okay.
Since number 1 is about the Board of Selectmen, is this an issue that we just leave with the selectmen and not this board?
The
Or is
board
this
of
the right one?
selectmen is the enforcement authority for the zoning
For the-
ordinances, so it is,
planning board,
it is part of
So it's the
planning.
planning board? Okay.
Yeah. Okay?
For number 2, in terms of plantings in those pieces, I'm wondering what the next step is for that.
Well, I guess I would like to see something from Mr. Jones, and I would think that Mr. Jones articulated to you what he wanted, and you reached out to him. Maybe if you reach out to him again in terms, and get a positive response from him as to whether it does satisfy him or not.
Okay.
And I
But I'm
guess
not-
if he's not happy because there are not coniferous trees planted, then maybe you need to look at putting in, what, 4 more arborvitae?
I think the planning board should make a site visit to see how it looks with what has been done.
Can't hurt.
Won't hurt.
No, wouldn't hurt at all. As Peter has pointed out, there's some contours that seem to, you know, make a difference, or that wasn't considered. That's the first I've heard of, you know, the contours.
Well, it's, I'm sorry. No, I was gonna say, it's hard for me to, I drive by there 20 times a day probably, and see it and look at it. It's hard for me to visualize without the fence that's gonna be there as to what will be blocked from him. It's,
Well, the fence isn't an issue in the condition. The condition
no, it's not, but it's
specifically
gonna block the
says-
parking lot, was his concern. It won't,
Right, but the
do that.
condition specifically said coniferous
Yeah.
trees would be used to do that. So if we stand in the parking lot and look and see what is done, and then perhaps Mr. Jones could,
I'd like to move, with this fairly quickly, so.
I mean, I would love to propose that if you guys all came up and stood in the parking lot, and you could look at it and say, okay, that's great. I'm a little leery about reaching out to Mr. Jones and
Okay.
saying, what do you think? Do I have your approval?
Well, no, but I mean, you had sent him an email and you really didn't get anything back from him.
Yeah, it was definitely
Other than-
inconclusive. I don't want to
Yeah.
represent to you that he's happy.
Okay,
There's something better coming from Daria as the town.
A dialogue with Mr. Jones?
Yeah. And then that can be shared with this board. I don't know what the protocol is.
The only thing is that, we have a process for having public discussions about these and opportunities for Mr. Jones to express his feelings at a hearing. Perhaps, if the board feels that Mr. Jones would have benefited from a reminder, maybe I could remind him about the upcoming November, I guess it would be November 10th meeting, if this is indeed, if you guys choose to continue.
I would feel more comfortable if he were notified of the meeting.
I think that's a very excellent idea.
Okay. And then if I can continue to take advantage of the fact that I'm talking here and keep going, the suggestion that the planning board visit the site, I guess I'm envisioning 2 options. One, that it be done as a group, in which case it would become a meeting and be noticed, or I guess the other way to do it is just say, hey, everybody, can you go out and take a look sometime between now and the next meeting?
Just because all of us are in the same place at the same time doesn't constitute a meeting. If we're just standing there, that is law, read 91A.
I'd rather
Very
not do
clearly.
it that way, though,
If you
like
look-
run the risk of someone perceiving that it'd be a
We've been
meeting.
doing it for 15 years.
Okay.
If we go there and look, I mean, the difference between meeting as a group and a meeting is you don't discuss, you don't make decisions because the public wouldn't have the benefit of that discussion. That's the difference.
Well, I think if we did it as a meeting, then Mr. Jones would be notified, and this would be his opportunity to come back before the board and speak his.
This is where you have to remember, we don't have meetings, we have almost hearings. But I don't think we all have to be there at the same time, do we?
Right, that's what I think.
I think the
Why stick-
logistics of us
yeah.
all being there at the same time
Would be
makes it
difficult.
cumbersome.
Yeah,
Some
right,
of us- Some of
right.
us have jobs during the day. Do you do that job?
I do what I can,
I think I'm the only one that doesn't.
I can be where I need to be.
And I think it would be a pain in the neck to try to get us all together.
I'm only 5 miles
It
away,
is.
so.
So what we resolved is what?
We haven't resolved it.
We haven't
That's
resolved
number
it.
3.
We got number 3 off the list.
Yeah, number 3 is good. I feel good
Yeah.
about number 3.
Yeah.
I think to notify Mr. Jones of the, was it November 10th
10th
meeting?
meeting, correct.
And then between now and then, we take an opportunity to go stand at the site and look at it.
Can I make a recommendation that it's November 24th because November 10th I'm not in town?
November 24th, how close is that to Thanksgiving?
That's too.
The week off.
It's the Tuesday of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I think the
And
fencing should be up definitely by the 24th.
Okay.
So the whole visual piece of the property will be there and.
This fencing is going around the tennis court, correct?
Correct.
It's not going along that parking lot where the deciduous trees are planted?
No.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to,
And visiting is better than pictures, right?
yeah, delaying it. Oh, yeah, because
Well-
we'll get a feel for the contour.
Just a quick question. Because I'm not a biologist or a naturalist or whatever. Do those trees currently have leaves on them now?
No. They don't.
Okay. I was just thinking if we had a picture of what it would look like now versus when it has leaves versus in November it won't have
What
leaves.
species are they?
They
Tree.
look like maples, right?
Thank you. One's a maple.
What,
One's a maple. I have no idea what the
Tree.
To Jeff Hardy.
Hmm?
Sure, it'll look like.
Okay,
other ones are. Okay, so
Motion
number.
to continue to November 24th.
and we will have a resolution hopefully for number 1 by then.
That's, I'm also thinking, I'm not
Okay.
confident I'll have something by November 10th based on the pace.
Okay,
So November 24th
All
allows
right.
us to do those pieces. So number 1, we're gonna continue to work on. Number 2, the board is going to go by
yeah,
and look at it, and we'll provide Mr. Jones with a notice
Yeah.
for the
for
24th.
the 24th meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. Number 3, I'm all set.
Okay,
All right.
anybody want to put any form of a motion?
Make them,
Catherine started
Yeah.
to.
I'll second the
Oh,
motion.
okay, okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll see you the 24th.
Okay, guys, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep,
Stay warm out there.
I'm gonna try.
Gotta walk up that hill, you know.
I drove.
Okay. All right, the next is the compliance hearing to verify that stormwater will be managed so as not to adversely impact abutting properties as
Thanks.
required by the 7/14/15 conditional approval to construct and operate a cafe at 570 Laconia Road in the mixed-use district. Mr. Brownberg.
Yes. So what we come with is creating storm tech. You guys probably have heard of these, have seen these, and this is what we're proposing in 2 areas. There's a lot that I need to talk about. There's 2 sets of areas here, one here and one here, that will handle that paved area, which is about 3,300 square feet. And the same with this one, is about the same as 3,300 square feet. One area that won't be handled by those is the driveway down through here and the driveway over to here. It's just impossible to get the water to run uphill, so the majority of it will be handled.
John.
Yeah, I know, I work in miracles, but that one's beyond
Pumps.
me. Pumps? Oh, good Lord. So these are the chambers, you buy them from Storm Tech, you put them together. Each chamber will handle a 2-inch storm for an hour. It will handle about 450 square feet of impervious surface. So that gives you what they say is like a 10-year storm. In this particular site, let's say if we had a 25-year event, the spillage would go over, it would run through the 20-foot setback that we have, in some places even more. And the wetlands would go into the wetlands, be absorbed, and eventually drain out. So, but this is, I'm gonna see how well I do with this. What I'm proposing, this is the green represents the impervious area that won't be impacted. The area within the orange is the, say that backwards? I think I did. The orange enclosed area is the impervious area. The green is the impervious area that will still be remaining. So in this zone, you have to have a certain percentage, and we're well within that percentage. It's a 50% zone. This is what the parking surface will look like when we get completed. But I'm not proposing to do that this winter. Winter's approaching quickly. What I'm proposing is just to do this winter. And what I'd like to do is just put this pad up in here, because if you go up there and you watch how they park, they're all over the place. It's a mess. They're backing on top of each other. And then this I'm proposing to pave. I am proposing to put this system in and not this one till spring. Something else that I'd like to address is that I had this wall stopping before and as a driveway, so people get in and out both ways. The more I looked at it, and the more I contemplated parking, the more I contemplated putting these storm techs because they're expensive. It made no sense to be even paying for this driveway. It also, what it did, it allowed the water to pick up and it was harder for me to capture it. So I've extended this wall, still within the 20-foot setback, and we're able to add some more parking. This is what the site looked like, I believe. No, I don't really have that one. So anyways, that's what I'm proposing to do. There's about, the total impervious area that I have right now, it says 21,000 square feet on here, which was done. We actually gained some more land when we were looking at the property next door, when the town went and started to determine what the road width was of Grange Road. Even though the surveying was calling it back here, through a lot of digging and investigation, it ended up being a 2-rod road, so we actually gained some more land. That's why even these numbers that were originally generated showing that there's 21,000 square feet, whatever that is, right at 21,000 square feet, when you add that onto it, it's more like 22. And the impervious total area that we will have will be about 9,000. We're allowed 50%, so we're well below what's allowed in that area. I consider this lot, once this gets built out, it's maxed out. There's really nothing more you can do with it. Well, that's it, it's done. On a side note, I hope everybody's enjoyed the walkway.
Are they using it?
They're using it, they're very happy with
And
it.
it looks very nice.
Now, if you extend the wall, how are they gonna get from the upper part?
They're not going to, unless they go through the building. Right now, this parking area is used solely for the employees. And it was approved for 5, they were over 5. Every day I go and I count, I go, when's there gonna be 5 employees? They have
Well,
one.
they literally were on top of each other today.
Yeah, I know, I saw it,
It
it
was-
was ridiculous. I parked up in there too, I was the 9th car in there, I go, this is crazy. They use this walkway, it's lit here and here. You know, I tried to put some of those solar lights in there, it was a great deal, you bought them, get a battery pack, you put them on, never even came on. So that was a
We
failed
haven't had a lot of
attempt.
sun.
Well, I don't know if that was it, or they just come to the mill broke, and this online thing, if everybody's getting into it, I'm just learning about buying stuff online, half the stuff comes through broken.
I bought a solar light from Billy's, it's fabulous, in fact, I bought.
Yeah, I bought
Did you
2
really?
of those.
Yeah.
See, I'd like to get one of those working.
It is very sensitive,
Shop local.
it's amazing. So you planned for a 10-year storm event?
I did plan for a 10-year storm event, because in my opinion on this thing, you could still, really, this is very small parking lots, you still could almost do sheet runoff and have it go back there. So I plan that we'll capture most of the water in an event that you have more than a 10-year storm, like a 25-year storm, which you're supposed to do it for, or could hypothetically do for, you would end up with some of the sheet runoff. But we'll capture most of the water most of the time.
Don't we typically plan for 50-year storm event?
Yep.
I think the regs say you can do 25.
Well, I think what's been, the reason we're all here tonight is to is runoff being managed to the point where it's not gonna be increased as a result of this development. So I think it's probably, it could well be the case that a system that's completely capturing and taking that first 2 inches and bringing it underground, even though it's not designed for the 25 or 50-year storm, it's very possible that it's accomplishing what the planning board has asked of Mr. Bernard.
Thank you.
Possible. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I think,
Have you flattened the lower parking lot? I haven't really,
Yeah, it's flat.
I mean, I'm looking at the spaces at the top, I mean, before you extended the wall over, you definitely had an issue with slope there. Runoff from the top could easily go down
Correct, yeah.
to the bottom, and, I mean, you're going to pave it all, so now any rain is not gonna soak in at all, it is gonna sheet off. So we have a 50 or a couple more of those 100-year storm events.
Right.
You're sending water directly over those suckers right into Route 3.
Well, we can have it, or I can design it so it won't go directly out here. We could have it so it shoots back off into this direction. Because this is a flattened area now.
Right.
So I can have it so if in the event, we can work with it and grade it, so in the event that it does go over that, we can go back there. Now, easily enough, you spend more money, you buy a few more of these, and you start to increase. You start to get, instead of a 2-inch rains over the hour, you go to 2.5 or to 3, and then you start getting into your 25 to 50-year storms. I was hoping that I was meeting the board more than halfway here on this. These parking lots are very small parking lots too. These, you know, we're talking down here.
But you
there's
said you
8.
could pitch that upper section so
This
that-
way, I could pitch it up that way.
Yeah,
And this upper section will definitely, if this fills up, this just runs off into here, and there's a sheet runoff, and you have, you know, a bunch more area for it to absorb.
but it sounded like your plan for the upper parking lot was to pitch it to the wetlands, if you will.
If it would overflow, that would. Otherwise, it's all gonna be pitched to here. It'll all be caught down in here. So this is how I envision it. You know, you have it, let's say you have a 25 or 50-year event. The water's gonna come in here, you're gonna capture it probably the first hour or two, you're gonna be fine. The second and third hour, it's going to start to fill up in here, and then it's gonna start cascading over there. The other thing, when talking to the people that sell these and how they engineer it, when they design these, they're designing them for the water that is just specifically in here. You do 6 inches of rock below this, you do rock all the way across these things, and they don't take that into account, but they say that that does increase the reservoir. How these things are built is that you take a piece of fabric, you put it down on the ground, you put 6 inches of rock on top of the fabric, you put these down on top of it. Good example of it, so I'll just keep mumbling. This thing right here, this is a really good example of how they work. So you have a catch basin, this fills up with water. This center one, on my particular one, these will be in 2 different series. This one will fill up with water first, has fabric wrapped, it's complicated, it has fabric wrapped around it, and then it comes, and then that allows the water to leach out into the other area. I'm gonna go back here, because it's weird how they build these things. So you put the fabric down, you put 6 inches of stones, you put this on it, you fill it all up with stone. You wrap only this one that's attached to your culvert, and the reason why they do that, and someone gave me a good example today, they had a fire, and when they had a fire, they washed out all the soot. And this soot will get captured in this one that has material around it. So you have material around the main one. The other chamber that goes around is covered in rocks and basically covered in material all the way around like a cocoon. This is nothing more than a big bag of rocks that you're building underneath the ground, and you're stuffing water into it.
The fabric is there just to keep particulates from infiltrating into that and the rocks.
Right.
Otherwise, the rocks over time
And there's
are
two,
ineffective.
exactly, and there's 2 types of fabric. The one that wraps around this one is very, very tight woven, so you go in and you vacuum them out. You first check them every 6 months. After that, they say it's, you know, depending on which site it is and the size of the site and how much you get in there and get them clogged up, because they can clog, so they are serviceable. But I guess if that was, that's what I'm saying.
There's a 3-minute video that we could watch.
Really?
Or not.
Or
Yeah.
not. I just pulled it up.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. I probably should have brought that in. I gotta get to the point where I have,
I have a
what
question.
are they called?
Those 8 spaces that are back to back,
Yes.
well, I drove by there today, and you can still access the upper from the lower. Are you gonna?
Right, I'm not proposing to do that until after this winter. I just don't have enough time. What I'm really hoping to do this winter, I think I'm gonna run out of time, I'm gonna run out of weather, they're gonna shut down the paving plants too very shortly. So what I'm really hoping to do is complete it like this. I'll put this one in, and even, that's not the right one, sorry guys, wrong one I'm talking about.
You had it earlier.
Yeah, that's right.
There it is.
So what I'm really hoping to do this year, and you know, if I get your blessings, as soon as I can order, they take about a week to come in, and so next week I'm hoping to put these in, compact it and pave this thing, because they're trying to open up the store next week too, but that's another story. What was the question? I'm lost. So this is what I'm
So
proposing.
are you gonna,
Open it up.
will you restrict access to the upper lot from the lower lot?
I won't, this wall is open, and I really don't think I have the time to get it done, so I won't this year, but what I'm gonna probably do is use that as my snow storage area for this winter. so they won't have much access. I'm not plowing it open, I'm gonna plow it closed. I mean, here we are here, it feels like it's the middle of November, even though it's the end of October. I don't think we're far away from snow, I don't think we're far away from having to freeze, and I don't think I'm far away from the pavement plants shutting down. As soon as they get a cold,
Oh, you're just full of good news.
I'm sorry. This last week was rough on me. I cleaned the same car off 100 times.
But
Go ahead. I'm
my
listening.
other question
Yeah.
is kind of related to the parking lot, but more to the path that you put in.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
Is there a way, to- I went in there today and I looked,
Did you walk around it?
no, I just pulled in, I looked, and then, but my first impression was, geez, I could drive.
Oh, you can.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Everybody was. So was,
Is there a way to, and I can see the tire marks there, is there a way to prevent cars from going in?
I want to plow it. So I've been trying to think of a way that I'd be able to keep it open and restrict things, and I can't come up with a really good way yet. It's not, I don't, design cars, so MetroCast was on there today, they thought it was great, they pulled right up, used their pocket truck and did what they had to do, and I've driven on it, and,
I've seen people drive on it.
yeah, mostly.
Well, I'm concerned about vehicles, because I believe there's an easement over town property,
There is.
so if something weird happens on that corner piece of town, is the town now liable to a vehicle? And
I don't know about that, town's got vehicles all over the place, but I hear what you're saying.
I'm just looking in the interest of the town.
Right,
and
what I wanted to
How do
point-
we prevent that from making all this now to cut through to get back out to Grange Road?
Because once they park here, and they do park there, you can't get through.
Or
Yeah.
you could use those, poles like we have to keep people from driving down the,
I'm good with that, but then I can't park.
that's,
So I thought about that. My wife was even trying to come up with different ideas, so I was, we went back and forth.
you could use a snow blower.
Yeah, I could.
You could store it in one of our
I
outbuildings.
did like your ideas up to that point. The other thing I want to point out is the town property stops here. What I really needed the town property was to build this and to fill it in. I don't really need it now. Although even though I have the easement, I don't really need it. And if you go out there, you'll see where I have my corner of my boundary. And
Where do they walk onto your property from the sidewalk?
they could, well, this was a wall, it's not there anymore, they just go like this.
Oh, like I said, I haven't been
You,
out there.
you need to come look at it.
Yeah.
I just haven't had a
The only
chance.
problem I see with it is it's very nice, but it's very wide.
Well, you can put a car through it.
Well,
I made it
that's not a
wide
bad
so I
thing.
could plow it.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
But you really, I mean,
No, I'm just concerned that we're gonna make this a future cut through to get people back out to Grange Road.
Wasn't there a drain pipe in that corner somewhere?
well, I've worked on that, you could go out and see this whole thing, this thing's an elaborate system.
Hmm?
Not only that, you know, I've actually, if I really wanted to have a good conversation, I've actually improved the drainage on this lot completely. Never mind that I'm putting in pervious, this whole thing was this really, really steep hill, so any water that hit it wouldn't penetrate. Now you have flat surfaces now, and I put all riprap down through here. Boy, you gotta come see it. It's,
It really,
it's a thing of beauty, if I may say so
It is.
myself.
Well, I'd be somewhat satisfied if you'd indicate that you were gonna pitch that to the lower one, pitch that out that corner.
Off to here.
Yeah,
Yep, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that.
that slope.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, how I could do that and assure that I can do it. I'd like to say that I could do that in my mind here. When I get out there, I wanna make sure that I can do it. I wanna be able to capture, when I go through it in my mind now, I wanna be able to capture this water to come down here, because most of the times we will be able to maintain all the water on the place. But I want it to have an overspill over to there, so yes, I will work on that.
Even the state's 50-year storm
I know.
thing failed during the 50-year storm event.
Excuse me,
Closed.
really
Remember
apologize.
that?
we don't allow that in here.
Both
I
of
can't even
them.
shut it off now.
Everyone and the lower.
Just answer it.
Sorry.
The lower
We'll
ones
wait.
failed several times.
I don't know.
Which one is it?
At Lowe's,
Oh, yeah, that was,
Yeah, I mean,
well, we're
That
supposed to get
failed
2 inches of
in the
rain tomorrow,
States.
or,
down on the corner failed as well.
I'm not trying to
Because
say
they
that.
didn't anticipate the runoff that comes down off that hill from the wetlands above. But I think if you can
Pitch it up that
pitch
way.
out that way, plus your
Yep.
storm track, you've got
Okay.
a good plan.
All right, I'll do it. I'll make it happen. I'll make it so, as they say on Star Trek. Make it so. I'm listening, I know I've been working a lot of hours.
Do or do not, it isn't.
All right, I'll entertain a motion then with the condition that it be pitched to the wetlands.
Yes.
Catherine should probably word it all.
How do we know there's been compliance with number one?
What's one?
Ingress and egress shall comply with the Tilton Northfield Fire Department requirements. Number one?
Do you have any letters from them?
Well, no, it could be considered a condition, what, subsequent, that runs with the approval, and that it's something that has to be met at all times, and as long as Mr. Bernard is aware and willing, I guess, to.
There was definitely a condition.
Right.
Just call them up and
Yeah,
ask
but
them to.
All right, no, I just, honestly, I just been a little busy, didn't think about it. I don't think they'll have an issue. I mean, the parking lot up above, if there's any
Well-
issue, that's already approved.
The issue may be if that restaurant catches on fire and your parking lot is full and they have to go in there. Wow. Especially when you block off the upper area. And continue that wall across, but they're the ones who'll tell you.
Right. And it's right on Route 3, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't see,
The whole thing's
I
wide
don't
open.
anticipate a problem with that. Again,
Never know.
if you go out there, you will see,
It's a small lot. The parking space lot is small.
the one thing I don't see, there's no directional signage or markings.
We're gonna direct, but I'm sorry, help me.
Oh, that's one of the conditions.
Yes, I'll meet that, but what am I doing? Just, I'll be happy to do it, just tell me what to do.
Directional signage,
Oh, that's because we were gonna
And-
use it for flowage, for
Okay.
flowing through.
Yeah.
Now we're not doing that anymore, so
Okay.
maybe we can scratch that. We'll still put the arrows on the parking, you know, how they supposed to pull in and things like that.
well, I know how they pull in,
That needs to be corrected up there. They have a big issue, whatever we're doing, we
Yeah.
have to
Where,
correct it.
where are the employees for the restaurant gonna park?
Hopefully upstairs. I got seven or 8 downstairs when we're completed, and there'll be 2 upstairs for that. On most cases, I go over there and I count them now all the time, because really they're approved for 5 up above there, and in most days, they're parking 7. The good news is the same woman who owns that owns the other one, or else this whole plan wouldn't work. Right?
I drive by there, so I see it.
Yeah.
I don't see any parking spots going this way.
There's nothing there, there's all dirt, and one of the funny
They all
things,
park, I mean, it's
it's
just,
craziness.
first guy in, last guy out.
Right, and they never go down, they never go through, they all wait, and they have their certain times that people come in and pull out, I don't know, they have it going on, because they don't seem to be fighting, so. But, one of the things we're gonna be doing is actually helping them by putting lines down, and what I was saying, and Catherine and I had this conversation one time, how the hell do you really approve, and I'm not trying to give anybody else trouble, okay, because I'm a peace-loving guy, how do you really designate parking on a dirt lot, which you're allowed to have? But really, when people pull in, they need to see stripes. We're all conditioned, if we don't see stripes, oh my God, there's no place to park, you know? But if you have stripes, then everybody knows to fit in.
look at the senior center, there's stripes all over the place, and they don't pay a minimum attention to them.
I can't see them, I can't see them from the dashboard.
Watch it.
So we're making a better situation out of it.
Is everybody agreeable to scratch 3?
I think you should make a motion to do such thing. Motion to eliminate 3 since, well,
Can we do all at once?
Yeah, okay.
well, here's the thing. It was there for directional flow, but that's not gonna take place until spring.
Again, I think that 1 and 3 are conditions that run with the site throughout its operation. And if Mr. Bernard understands that throughout the life of this site plan review approval, throughout the life of the site ingress and egress shall comply, with Tilton Northfield Fire Department requirements, and that throughout the life of the site, basically, you need to do what needs to be done to get people moving through there using directional signage. It's really 1 and 4 that were conditions subsequent that, in my mind, need the board's sign off before, tonight.
But,
What?
not because it's John Bernard, we can't give him preferential treatment. Why would we allow somebody to come in and site plan without first making sure that what they're proposing, the fire equipment can get through before we say, yes, put up your wall, or, yes, increase your parking spaces, or any of that, I mean. So,
Yeah, right.
I think for the preliminary site plan review, we have to make sure that what he's designed, what he's proposing works. Yes, go forward and do it because the safety equipment can get through. And you're right, after that, he still has to make sure that changes aren't made that impede their flow. That wall isn't gonna be extended over until spring, so there will be traffic going through, which leads to the directional signage, but, yeah. I'd be-
It won't if you use it for snow storage though.
Right, and the other thing I could do,
And if we don't get snow,
the other thing I can do, well, we're out there building railings right now. I could put a railing across it, I'm not opposed to it, I'm not trying to, be anything but straightforward, so I'd be happy to close it off if that helps you.
or do not enter sign.
Right, from both sides.
I was gonna say, I don't think that, if you could see the way they park,
I
that
know.
would
No, they
they probably would take that as a challenge.
I pulled in just to look one day, see what was going on, and laughed all the way back and out, because there was no way I was gonna turn around. and-
Nope, you're not getting through.
But I think that a visit from probably Tim Javert to the site to say, yes, we can flow through here, making sure that he knows that that's gonna be closed off on the upper.
Okay. So it would be
For the
approved
preliminary,
subject to the,
It's just my opinion.
Yeah, subject to notification from the Tilton Northfield Fire.
right, that's to shut off
Department,
that
yeah.
drive-through, I think is what the
Yeah.
whole issue we have here right now.
Yeah.
I have a question. Just because I seem to be the person that was at, is there an accessible space in there?
Handicap? Yeah, matter of fact, I made it extra big, and you can see it's the closest one here. I used to do them as a 1.5, and now they made them 2.
Well, you have to have one space that's van accessible, so you need the space, plus you need 5 foot for the,
Right.
I think it's 8 foot for the van, or 5, it's
Yeah,
either 8 or
sure.
5.
That's
But yeah,
why-
it has to be striped, just to let you know.
Right. No,
Just been through it.
yeah, gotcha.
I just didn't know if that, I can't see it, but I didn't know if that was a
Yeah,
little
that's
space.
plenty.
I didn't know if that was a little
It's a double
accessible
space,
symbol.
it's a double space, and it's the closest one to the door, so I think it would probably
And
make
you
See,
have
that
a
was-
handicap space in the upper parking lot?
No.
You will have to, once you fill up it all.
This is conditional approval.
Wonder. When did
Two
you do?
separate, if they become 2 separate parking
Yeah.
lots, then,
That's interesting. That's kind of a pain in the ass.
yeah.
Just those 2 things.
All right, we'll have to squeeze it in a few more feet someplace.
And then you're gonna,
Because the next lot.
This one up here, actually, I could probably, see this line here, I can probably move that over and squeeze it in.
Just
So if
eliminate
that's,
the line,
yeah, I will, that works.
might be wide enough.
Okay, making a motion to conditionally approve case number 15-16. After contact or approval has been given by the Tilton Northfield Fire Department for site ingress and egress requirements. And also, how should we word the slanting of the pavement towards the wetlands and away from Route 3.
So it's clearly understood, I would like to say any overflow will be directed away from Route 3.
Okay. Any overflow will be directed away from Route 3
Thank you.
On the lower part.
on the lower.
You get that?
Top one too. I mean,
Top one also.
Well, the top one's gonna slope that way also, so if we use those wordings, that can make it work. I wanna have a little bit of, flexibility to fit here or here, wherever I can get it to work, so it floats there.
And provision for handicap parking
On upper and
on
lower
upper
level.
and lower lot.
Correct. I never thought about that, but I have, because I have two parking lots, I've got two handicap accessible places.
Is that a requirement?
I don't know, I'm gonna go read it, I'm gonna read up on it.
I
That
believe
sounds
it is.
reasonable.
I believe
No, I
it
thought it was.
Every
I think it's a second, yeah,
26 spaces.
Every 26 spaces you have to do it,
Right.
and I know that you have to do it for every site, someone has to have access, handicap
parking
accessible.
lot.
So maybe it is every parking
I don't
lot.
know about, is it every parking lot or every
is. All right, we have a motion on the
We will do
floor.
our investigation.
We have a motion on the floor. You have it?
Site
Yeah.
is
Okay.
Easiest.
I have a second?
I'll second.
I think I got room.
All in favor?
Yeah, I
Aye. Opposed?
think I'm gonna say like disabilities is the easiest to access. You go to the ADA.
Yeah, that's what I found parking lots, not parking lots,
Maybe TCD has it too.
one time there was a walkway out front of my dealership, and it didn't meet ADA, so I went out and found out what I did to make it meet ADA. And then now they're gonna blow up the whole, right, you guys see all the surveying crews going on there all the time?
Yeah, what's that for?
The light.
Not only the light, but carving out the road. The road, if you're coming from Laconia towards Tilton,
Yeah.
when you come over that hump, it sheds you from the people's tail lights. There's so many accidents there, so I'm cutting out a chunk of the road. It's like, I don't know what
Where is this?
Where is this?
Where is it?
So like on Route 3.
Right
Oh, they'll redo that intersection.
Yeah.
They redoing that intersection, they haven't decided if they're gonna put a stop light in there, a traffic light, or a turning lane, but the other thing they're doing, just, like, where Winnisquam Auto is just a little, towards Laconia from Winnisquam Auto, the road kinda has this funny little dip to it, they're cutting that right out.
But that's not where they're surveying.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
They're-
They've been surveying for what, a week or two?
No, about a month.
Yeah.
And
Is it about a month?
it's been a month,
It's
and
been
they
a
are
while.
all over people's yards, and like, I look out, I got a DOT guy today out in my backyard, I'm like, okay, well,
Everyone, yeah, it's like
road,
storm,
he's out
like
there,
storm drains and
Yeah.
everything.
they're going crazy, yeah. It's gonna
Okay,
be a
John.
good thing. Okay,
Go
so.
your way and send them more.
So
Yes,
would-
thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
am I good? I can build this, I'm
There's
not?
one for every
Yeah.
other
You're
Did you
always
not pay
good.
attention? Is there one?
It's
that
the
says
boat.
that you have to have-
All right, thank you.
Just
Thank
get the
you.
fire department to go out.
Would you like this left here? You guys probably just.
Is that a model?
Yes,
Is that-
it's a
is that-
model.
Is that to scale? That's
If-
really
if
what
you
I
know
was.
it's
why-
not
To scale.
Well,
No,
that's
they're,
what I was like,
um,
how many of these
I have
suckers
the
you
video,
got?
you
There are
wanna watch
50,
it?
there's two different
No.
types. There's two different sizes. This one's 30 inches high and 51 inches wide. This is the biggest one they make. And so you have to start getting into your soils and what seasonal high water table is and stuff like that. And then they have narrower ones, so you can do it. You have to have a foot, a fill over, a foot and a half fill over. So, I don't know if you guys.
If you don't need that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it
it'd
might be
great to
good
show
for you guys to
Yeah.
show people.
Yeah, thank you.
And when they do the calculations too, this is not anything I care about, when they do the calculations, they don't do it these as rounded, so they actually have more storage capacity than what I said, but that's how we present it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
You too.
If
I'm
you,
afraid I'm gonna leave and miss something. What's next?
if you go to
Oh,
ADA.
yeah,
ADA.
Oh, we're gonna change the zoning ordinances.
Yeah.
No, you're not, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Only a
Those-
no-loss.
Do you have any suggestions?
Yes.
ADA.gov/restrict.
What's this thing?
Or
I'll read
just,
it.
it's out of.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, John.
Bye. See you all around.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Just checking. Just wanted to make sure I was remembering that.
Yeah.
Should be in the-
Yeah.
We needed this one.
Well, it's nice that you can show people how they
Yeah,
work.
exactly.
And these on the ends, these circles here at the ends to show which side you're gonna cut out.
Oh, okay.
That's all that
Yeah.
is. There's really nothing much to them. They're $259 a piece, plus the ends.
Yeah,
And they can give you zero.
yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Good idea.
Good night.
Let's take a stretch break, okay, because we're gonna do working. A stretch break. I need
And
to stretch.
It's all right with you guys, I'm gonna leave the recording devices on, so we don't have our video chopped into pieces, or should I shut them off? What do you think? I feel like Tim once told me that, it's a pain to splice them together, but on the other hand, do we really want a video with a 5-minute
No, I don't.
thing? So turn them off.
Oh, no, we usually shut it off upstairs when we
I was
read it.
gonna say, they always shut it off.
All right.
How do you guys, upload them? You just plug it in and upload it overnight?
Recess.
He has a little, he just plugs it in when he's in his office. and-
There's the camera.
May or June, pick 'em up.
All right, the next is the adoption of amendments to the subdivision regulations. Open a public hearing on the proposed amendments to the subdivision sections 7.6F and 7.7H, naming the planning board or its designated agent as the entity that shall issue driveway permits. A full copy of the text of the proposed amendment is available for review in the town clerk's office, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. And basically, what it's doing is taking it away from the road agent and giving it back to the planning board. Okay,
Good explanation.
so are there any comments, questions?
No.
We discussed this, one or 2 meetings ago?
Yep, we've got it.
Right. I know,
That's
well,
what
that's
we're
what I'm saying for the record, we
All right.
discussed it.
Okay, no comments or questions, then I'll close it.
I have a comment.
No,
In our
don't close
subdivision-
It's already been closed.
it. It's closed.
No.
We'll go on, I'm kidding.
Well,
Kidding.
I didn't think I was letting you know the public people, so.
The public.
Just moving on here. Somewhere in our subdivision plan, it talks about line of sight for driveway entrances. Should that be incorporated here?
Yes.
What do you have there?
We'll show you together.
How'd you get that?
I took it, I handed it out.
Look at Diary's poor guy.
He put it on the
I
table.
was like, what happened? Personal space, personal space.
I thought he should have hit that.
I have it, so there, I have a
It's
correction to
not,
make to it.
I think that,
Number 5. Number 2.
What? Number 5? I don't have a number 5
Oh,
on
no,
my.
subdivision regulation.
Oh, okay.
Our proposed drive to town road, the applicant sponsors certified the proper site distance,
Wait,
minimum proper outside
okay.
distance should be 250
This,
feet.
you
No
have this.
variation.
that, but I think she's working with this.
Right, but should
Okay.
that be incorporated?
Sure,
into
I do
this?
think though, right now,
We're doing this.
we should maybe keep separate the subdivision regulations and then the
Driveway permit.
articles. Yeah, the permit, maybe.
Oh,
I thought we were on the permit. We're on
I
this
thought
first.
it was all one thing, that's all right, I'll put that
No,
right
it's
over
not.
there. All right then. Okay, I'm good, yep, go.
We shouldn't have left them on the table.
I'm sorry about
Hey,
that. I
dude.
got another pile of them over here. I don't.
That's where I got them from.
Oh,
You
okay.
need to keep them in.
This thing.
Okay, so
You
number,
stick it out, nothing sacred.
so you're
You
saying
must have
number,
it. You put it under your notebook,
Yeah.
or in it.
so you're saying number 5, what should we have?
No.
No, we're just
No.
dealing with who's gonna, road agent to planning board.
Yeah.
That's all we're dealing with.
Alright, okay.
You found all the locations?
I think so. I
But if
wish I could have dedicated more time to it. I think we got the important stuff. If I do believe enough changes have been made to make it clear what's going on here, and that if at any point I were to discover a spot that we missed it, or that I missed it, I should say, and it turns up elsewhere, you know, it's something we can.
But was the motion I made blanket enough that if you did find others, you could just change it?
I believe so.
Let us know.
Yep, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my intent.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. Alright, now can we close it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Alright,
Second.
next thing.
Oh, wait a minute. There needs to be a vote
Oh, okay.
to adopt this.
Oh, yes, you're right. So would someone like to make a motion to adopt?
I'll make
The
a motion to
amendment.
adopt the
Second,
amendment for subdivision regulation.
Second.
all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, next. driveway permit application. All right? The only thing, if you go back to the second, we made a change, the second page, the back, 1, 2, 3 up, it starts with a field visit is required. Cross out, the second is required.
I think I already took care of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
You did?
Yeah, Jane and
Ours doesn't
Jane
have
gave me
it.
some
Yeah.
feedback earlier today, yeah.
That's the only thing I saw that needed correcting. Does anybody see anything else?
Yeah, as I previously mentioned, but, is this the same, this isn't the original document?
No.
This is a new document?
Yeah.
Something I spent some time on, just moving around a little bit. It was meant not, I purposely made sure it wasn't too much of a divergence from what basically the road agent has been working with. One, I think, significant change that I did make, and it may be the only significant change, is bullet point. Give me just a moment, forgive me. Okay, it's the third bullet on the back page. Any driveway permit shall be non-transferable, and then I made the change, and shall be valid only if construction has been completed in accordance with permit conditions within 1 year of permit approval. Because the old permit said, basically, driveway permits are valid for 1 year, which that's not.
Yeah, this is
Right,
good.
I mean, it was clear what it was trying to say, but just to make sure,
This is good.
okay.
Okay.
Better.
This is much better. And then that other that was corrected, but
Isn't there a specific size in the regulations of the culvert?
Yeah, so
I
let
mean,
me
in other
hand
words, I
out.
think there's a minimum.
Minimum is 15 inches, although I do question that. If I'm gonna hand out, this is something Catherine's gonna be familiar with, maybe only Catherine may be the only person in the world who's familiar with this.
And Dennis Allen.
This is something that, again, Catherine and I don't know who else put some effort into
Dennis
in
Allen.
the past, and it's maybe a directions that could be provided to an applicant along with this driveway permit application. And it goes into some of the things
Oh, I like
that Catherine's been talking about, site distances, culverts. You'll see I marked it up. If we do decide to go through this tonight, I can explain my various stars.
I think
and
number
scribbles.
3, if you look at the language in the states, I mean, that's the apron.
Oh, interesting that you say that. I think it comes up again.
what, all driveways within the town? Is that what you're talking about?
Town's right of way.
Yeah.
The state has much better language than this.
Look at 17. Perhaps we could cross out 3 because of 17.
It's the same, it's redundant, it's repetitive.
Yeah,
The states is much better language.
okay.
It's very specific. Look at the design of that apron. I think it's a template.
Okay.
But it still is redundant, but we have 3 and 17 both, right?
That's true.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna,
let's get-
I would eliminate those and
Yeah.
take, the states.
Can you
That
compare
driveway
that?
shall not interrupt the natural flow of stormwater or drainage, I've read before. And 12.
Yeah, I really wasn't able to get my hands, get looking at this until today. So, perhaps, this is something that, now that we've formalized the, change in subdivision, maybe this is something I obviously need to do some editing.
Would you do that and have it for us within,
within 24 hours?
No.
Yeah, I will, yeah, I'll continue to work on it, definitely.
All
So
right.
here's an interesting thing on 4 and 5. I think as a base, those probably are good for 4 as a safety reason, and 5 is, you don't want to have your driveway that close to the abutting property. But there are so many properties in this town, and I have one, that has grandfathered existing ingress and egress. Would you call it a driveway? Nope. But it's an ingress and egress, and even the state recognizes the ones I have. One of them we turned into a road a year or 2 ago, but I have one across the street from my house that is a recognized driveway entrance by the state of New Hampshire, because it's how I access that field with my tractor and my hay equipment and whatever else I bring over there. The property up on Caleb Hill, next to the Range Road, they had a ingress and egress similar. It was actually on, so far under the property that was on the Range Road, and it was certainly within 100 feet of the intersection.
Mhm.
But it was existing, and had been existing for generations. I mean, did they need a permit? Probably, just so that we'd know that we have another access point of vehicles onto a town road, so we could control the drainage and culvert and whatnot. But there are so many properties like that, I don't know how you would allow for that in this, because this says, no, you can't, but in fact, it exists.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is somehow needs to be some language that you would there's a recognition of existing grandfathered egresses and ingresses. I don't know as I call them driveways, but.
So, okay. Okay.
And that 250 foot, for some of these properties, and our windy, bumpy, twisty roads,
Mhm.
you would make some lots unusable.
Right. At the top, I think you wisely, had a statement, a waiver of any of these conditions can be made. I think that should be changed, by the planning board or its designated agent. But a little bit more guidance as to maybe, like you said, maybe insert some language about grandfathered access ways or in there.
Like number 8, whenever possible, a
Right.
minimum 250 foot all season site distance.
Oh, right.
So that, somebody getting it said, oh, well, I don't do that, we just have it waived. No. Whatever you can do, you can do.
Oh, right, good point,
Question,
good
so
point.
if they do request a waiver, that's not a zoning board thing?
Right, it's in subdivision.
Oh,
So if
These aren't zoning ordinances.
yeah, that's like, it's an important thing to remember when you're deciding what document you want a regulation to be in. There's one consideration is, do we want this to be something that the planning board can waive? Planning board 10 years from now, a bunch of crazy, not the intelligent, sound-minded people that you are. Do we want to leave this up to them, or do we want to?
I like the idea of the 2-part, this is the form, keeps it neat, this is the,
And the other thing, and I think that will help and will make clear in people's minds whether they've actually received permission or not, is to not have the permit application also be the permit. And my proposal would be the permit would actually be, kind of be like a notice of decision. You turn in your subdivision or site plan review
Yeah.
application, a decision is made elsewhere, and another document is generated saying you got your approval.
driveways like Clinton State highways also require a driveway permit from New Hampshire too.
Oh, right.
That's pretty funny.
ooh, I would like Mount Second.
It is kind of funny. obviously, that's why.
Yeah, most of this came from Dennis.
It's excellent,
Yeah, he did a good job.
yeah.
That just flew on my head.
All right, so you're gonna have this by the next meeting, right?
Yeah.
Updated.
Yep.
All right. Moving right along. Review
That
the
one that works.
October 13th minutes. I thought I had them, but Catherine moved everything around there. Catherine went through all of them. It's all Catherine's fault.
You are slightly diverging from the agenda at this point, but I don't
I am?
disagree with your decision, yes.
Oh, the workshop.
Yeah, but I mean, it may make sense. I don't see any problem with that, doing that.
For the natives of Restless, get the minutes passed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Nothing wrong with what I'm doing.
Who went now?
On page 3, Tilton abstained, it looks like the town of Tilton's
Yeah.
no good.
That's right.
And there's now people gonna laugh at that.
They did tonight. Make a motion to accept the minutes of the October 13, 2015 meeting as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? One I have to abstain.
All right.
All right. Correspondence. There's a permit for Dairy Queen, queuing of vehicles.
I can explain.
Yeah, it's from District 3, go on. You
All
want-
right, yeah, if I remember correctly, there's an email in there that I received, I was CC'd on from DOT indicating that Dairy Queen received its driveway permit. I think the reason I put it in there, there's a note that says if queuing ever becomes a problem, if traffic winds up backing up onto Route 3, then corrective action must be taken. I thought it was important for planning board members to know that because you guys probably could might be the best eyes for DOT to report back as to whether there are problems there.
Field trip?
Field trip. They're closed for the season.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so-
The,
so close it Monday.
next up is, there are two notices for two different, planning board meetings in Belmont. One on October 26th and one on October 28th. I believe the one that should be of particular interest to us is the one for the motocross, which I believe is over our aquifer, is it not?
I believe you're right.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so,
What time is the October 28th?
it's the October 28th meeting,
Tomorrow.
yeah, and you might want to attend. It's at 7 p.m. It's at the corner meeting house upstairs on Sergeant Street.
We have
In
a budget
Belmont.
Meeting tomorrow? There's one?
We have a budget committee meeting, yes.
I'll be going.
Darn.
Catherine will be going.
Tomorrow.
And I think, have we heard anything for the other one?
Not that I can share with you, it's attorney-client.
Okay.
The public part of it is, you probably know that, Casella, gave an opinion, and, as a third party, they're being asked to, mind their own business, to put it nicely. There is a hearing coming up. Well, let's see, back up. Belmont, sent a notice to the court asking it to be thrown out because it wasn't timely filed. The town's attorney countered that with quite a lengthy explanation of why it was timely filed. In the meantime, the planning board has advised Casella for their next compliance hearing to address the town of Tilton's issues. And that's where it's at right
Have you guys been following it in the paper? I mean,
No.
we've been in the headlines on,
now. We're scheduled to listen to Dan Green, I believe, Thursday night.
but we've been headlines in most of the papers around. Been kind of interesting.
I'm not looking forward to tomorrow night.
Please.
We're going
Well,
to the
maybe
news,
after the canvas.
I wish I could go.
I wish you could too.
I'll be in Concord.
I don't know.
You can't go?
Thursday night?
Tomorrow night,
Maybe I will go with you instead of going to the budget.
welcome.
How about
It would make sense. Yeah, budget.
Hmm? Oh, Judy.
do they take those?
Hmm?
Do they take them?
Take one.
The meetings?
Belmont, I don't know if they do.
I don't know what they do.
I was thinking of bringing my own camera.
Bring a cell phone, but hers would be on.
I'll tell you who's gonna be there will be Sherry LeBrecq. I'm pretty sure we'll be there,
Thanks, okay.
okay?
I mean, I've been contacted by Belmont residents that are concerned about this.
Well, I sweated the other day because I came in and my friend was in the office with us.
Saw that.
You see that?
Yeah, I didn't recognize it at first, and then.
I didn't
was
either, and
like,
then I
oh,
realized who it
yeah.
was, and the one that approached John and me at the,
Aha. Oh, yes, dropping off his proposal.
yeah. The other thing we have is the wetlands permit to install a downstream fish passage facilities at Lockmere Hydroelectric Project on the upper embankment of the West Saki River downstream of the dam. And that's just a notice that, of the
You know
application.
what's interesting, that is only, if you read that document, it's only an egress. It's only for them to
I
get
know.
out of the lake. I can't find anywhere how they get into the lake besides the fact that Fish and Game puts them in the lake.
I thought that,
So I don't know, do they
Would you
jump
think
up
they
over
would
the
take a
dam like
boat?
I
salmon?
thought that the Indians years ago built some kind of contraption like a ladder
They have a weir there, just
Yeah.
a weir.
just for that purpose, and I think that's how they get in.
Well, not anymore, because that's gone.
It is gone? You sure it is?
Yeah.
I thought there was an article in the paper last year that it was still there.
Well, it's a digging site, but trust me, that's gone. I know, yeah,
You dug
Hey,
there.
I've gone through the holes in the bottom of the dam,
Okay, I know you
Well, all over
said
the
that. You
dam.
said that.
but,
Well, I might have to explore that.
it's just interesting that it's only an hour. Well, like I said, I don't know if they go up over the dam.
No,
get
I'm
in.
sure there's ladders somewhere. I just bet there are, and we'll have to take a swim in the summer and see. Can you imagine Catherine and me going swimming in the river looking for fish ladders?
I do swim in that river, I just off the trestle.
Looking for fish ladders, though.
Well, no,
All right,
I don't know if it fits with the
so
hole
that's the
anymore.
correspondence. Other business. Did everyone do their homework?
My dog is.
Because
Didn't bring it with
I,
me, didn't bring it with me.
Oh, that's,
it's 8 o'clock.
You gonna talk chicken here? Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Let's go.
oh, yes.
What I thought maybe we could do is talk about the chickens and bees, all non-commercial
Birds and
and
the
farm
bees.
animals, and, talk a little bit about the dwelling density, and keep the wetlands ordinance until our next our first meeting in October was gonna have nothing on it, but now it looks like we've got, I mean, in
No,
November.
right, no, because they went
went
to.
to
Oh, to the
November.
24th,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and even so, it
Yeah,
potentially could be a 10-minute.
and do the
Right.
wetlands ordinance then, because that's gonna be,
Oh, you're gonna have more than, yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's gonna be more than one meeting, I'm sure. So,
Let's talk turkey.
let's talk chicken.
I didn't bring my chicken, it's upstairs.
Get your chicken.
I didn't bring my rooster. I should have a rooster.
Do you want a copy?
Yeah, we'll go.
That would be awesome, thank you. One of my notes, so I remember.
I got that.
Oh, okay.
I don't drink coffee,
Dari and I this afternoon, I was really shocked, and so was Dari, because we thought that we would pull the ordinance for Laconia, for their chickens and so on, because there'd been so much news about Laconia.
I didn't know they finally allowed it.
Well, they don't have an ordinance on it at all.
I didn't think they allowed it.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't allow the rooster.
Well, they made the rooster leave.
Yeah, the rooster had to leave.
Yeah, move out of town.
Pecker had to leave.
Get it?
I thought they did approve.
Sorry, this
No.
is gonna get.
Pecker had to move out
You
of
should tell
town.
it in on.
Oh, jeez, that's.
And,
That's his
so,
name,
that was his name, Pecker.
Pecker.
It was headlines in the paper, Pecker.
Dr. Packer?
I laughed every time I read it.
Me too. I kept saying that to you guys, and you looked at me like I was crazy and trying to be dirty. I wasn't. It was the name of the,
You weren't trying to be dirty at
Rooster.
all.
Said anything
Same
about
name.
turkey. That was your interpretation.
no, it was yours. Anyway. The
Well,
question,
mine's name is Bruce.
how's Molly, by the way? Was that her name?
Oh, God, Jesus.
Mildred?
Mildred, how was Mildred?
As happy as can be. I
Is
think
she?
she can decide which rooster she likes the best.
Oh, gosh.
She's turned into a.
Oh, my Mildred, what's happened to my Mildred?
All right, let's talk about chickens and so on.
She's got 4 buddies she hangs around with too.
How do we want to approach it? Do we want to look at it by
All of them are white.
district?
Okay, I also asked about Plymouth's, we've been talking about it all week at town hall, about their philosophy. They also don't have an ordinance, and they have like a verbal policy. Because they feel the line between pets and chickens is too blurry, and they feel that the noise ordinance kind of covers it, and the nuisance, whatever is in the zoning as far as nuisance, and so they just have a verbal, like, keep the chickens out of the street, because that's the most dangerous thing. And I think that's a good place to start. I don't wanna get into a big document about rules.
Poultry
Because,
micromanaging.
yeah, poultry, because dogs are like way worse, and,
Not in Tilton.
depends on your neighbor. Okay, sorry, you and your dogs, but,
Well, here's the thing
Yeah.
though, chickens by themselves aren't bad. I mean, I love chickens, I have chickens, but they bring rats and mice. No question about it. You can have 2 chickens, and once you put out grain in a bowl, you've got rats and mice, and so do your neighbor.
Don't they have, some kind of device, I don't have chickens, but some kind of bowls that are not, that contain,
They kick the feet around.
What
and
about
it's-
dog food? I mean, dog
For
food.
some reason, it's not as, I think it's the the primary ingredient in chicken food is corn, which is candied with rats and mice. Dog food,
Do
not so
you have
much.
rats and mice? then?
Oh yeah, I
Do you
have
rats and mice?
Well,
a
I
poison
don't know.
program
I-
now.
I live in
I
the
haven't heard
country,
of that.
I have mice, and bird feed draws mice too.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
it
mean,
does.
there's a lot of things, the gardens need.
I think you have to look at this from each section of town.
Each district
Well,
has
if
one. of
chickens
them.
can be destructive. If your chickens get in your
I
neighbor's
live,
flower
I
garden,
live
it's
in the
gone.
village district,
If
and
your
I would not
dogs
want
get in your
chickens in my
neighbor's
neighbor's
garden,
yard.
it's
Right.
gone. My point is,
Not so much as
let's
chicken.
admit- let's-
Chicken is definite.
let's regulate all the animals, because the dogs are the bane of my neighborhood, and we have both.
But we have a,
Sorry.
We have a dog
Ordinance.
ordinance.
and I thought it was very
Yes.
effective.
We have a leash law.
A leash, that's not it, it's the barking.
That's in our noise.
And the
And chickens can be noisy. The roosters are the worst.
children
Yeah.
can be noisy. I mean, that's what the noise ordinance is for, though. We have one, don't we?
We have one. It's very subjective.
This is gonna be hard to.
This is going to be hard to enforce. This is going to involve the health officer, the code enforcement officer, and the police to enforce.
Okay, how many chicken calls do we get for nuisance?
Well, I think Dari brought it up last week. More
Sorry.
and more people are requesting having chickens, and it's probably a fad that's going on right
But
now.
how many calls do we get as far as complaints?
As
Because
health
why-
officer this year, I've had 3,
3.
and they're from 2 sites. One is on not Mandel, what is it, Andrews.
Okay.
So I have 2 calls from Andrews. And another was the noise ordinance. It was from Lockmere.
Roosters crowing.
Yeah, mine.
Maybe we should do something about it.
And it was
Well-
it was from across the street down in Ashland. So it was a little embarrassing.
Well,
So you're the case study.
Eric lives someplace where
Yes.
there's a neighbor that,
I have two extremes on this, because I work in a rural agriculture area, and we have chickens, ducks, guinea hens. I think that's all I've been able to identify so far, roaming around outside, pigs, whatever, all sorts of farm animals. And the only
they
thing,
objected to you being there.
Up by your house?
No,
no, where I work.
where you work.
I'm on 'em.
And the immediate abutter to our property, they have farm animals, and the chickens and the things, they come through and they eat all the grubs and all that in our lawn. So our lawns never look better, and they're fertilizer in our lawn. And I really don't care. The only thing that concerns me is they go out to the road. And, I mean, one got blistered like a month ago, literally blistered. But I don't mind it out there. It's kind of that. The only thing I don't like is that it's brought more flies into my work building. The other side of it is where I live, I can hear my neighbors sneeze. And if any of my neighbors had chickens, I don't want the chickens on my property. I don't want to have to deal with the noise or stink. I don't know if they stink or not, but I don't want to have to deal with any mice, or rats. We have enough feral cats running around that maybe they'll control it, but I don't want to have to deal with it in that tight-knit of a neighborhood. And there was someone that was going to, or may still be putting in farm animals on their property. And I think that in that tight neighborhood, it shouldn't be allowed. And I don't know what Catherine's law is zoned, but she has farm country. She's a farm. Whatever she has out there, it's a farm. Whether it is a resort commercial, or whatever that.
It doesn't matter what I'm saying, it's been a farm for generations.
Right,
so
but
it's
it-
grandfathered as a farm,
but
it's
it-
agricultural land.
But I have no problem, and I've seen, I think you have chickens that come up towards Route 3 sometimes, but I don't,
I got a pig that goes up by Route 3
you
to
have
go.
goats, yeah, the goats too, but I think, you know, and I don't think as you get into some of the other parts of town, in particularly rural agriculture, I don't think it's an issue. I think it's an issue when you're downtown, because now does this mean that if I have an apartment here, am I gonna be allowed to bring a chicken in? You know,
What? Well, I mean, your point is valid, you don't want, obviously, that's common sense, but on the other hand, do you really want a bunch of dogs moving in right next to you either? Probably not. So, that's my point is, it
But the
shouldn't
town-
be discriminatory against,
the town
One type of
has issues, because I've had an issue with dogs with a neighbor, and I did have to get the police involved, and it was
what
taken
was
care of.
the noise issue.
It wasn't, it was the
What
dog,
was
it was the dog pooping.
Okay,
The
so
town has, but you know,
if we can agree to keep, that the ordinance should be that the chicken should stay on the property.
I don't want, but how are you gonna control the chicken, because
Well-
it's the effect of the chicken that's gonna have on my property.
Yeah, you can't control a chicken unless you have an enclosure.
Well, but then you're not controlling cats either. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying is you could have an enclosure, people have enclosures.
Dogs and cats are domesticated animals. Chickens are
And
not.
also doesn't have a chicken
Matter.
for a cat.
I was gonna
Yes.
say, don't
It's
say
still
that.
not
actually know
domesticated.
somebody
Don't
who's
say that in
had
front of
one.
my Bruce, please.
People do keep them inside, and I already know people who do.
And is there religious exemption?
I think the difference between dogs and cats and chickens is,
Apples and oranges.
well,
No.
chickens, besides rodents, they bring predatory animals. You have,
So do cats?
not so much.
Oh, please, my cats have been totally.
I mean, Fisher cats is probably, what you're gonna see the most going after
Coyotes,
cats.
yeah.
Fox, coyote.
Okay,
But
yeah.
you have a neighbor moving to Cedar Street, and he's got, half a dozen chickens. Now you are gonna see coyote, you're gonna see fox, you're gonna see Fisher cats, even raccoons and skunks will go after chickens.
Well, I mean, we have 2 families with chickens, and,
But you got Buffalo Park up there, so you got it anyway.
I don't,
That's right.
since the chickens, they haven't noticed anything.
I'm not about it.
But, we don't
You're damn
have,
close to High Street, they're in High Street, it's
Why
Buffalo
not?
Park.
No, I'm in there all the
You,
time.
you have to control the chickens, you can't just tell them, you have to keep them on your property. Well, they need to be in an enclosure, they really do,
Why?
because the other issue is you have to control the manure. To a certain extent, they're gonna fertilize your lawn, but after a while, they're gonna start, that's a lot of manure.
I don't know, I mean,
Now you get
there's
2 or
a
3
bunch of
chickens
free
in
range.
a
I mean,
large
I
lot,
see people who have them.
that's fine.
Yeah,
But now, are we limiting the number of chickens that people can have?
well, see,
It's by size, no more than a total of 6 such animals.
Who's the chicken checker? Who goes
Yeah,
around?
I know,
Well,
but
that's
then-
The health-
what I
health
mean.
officer.
It's
I don't really
Code,
want-
health, and police to
Yeah.
enforce.
so you're gonna be going, this is something you welcome? Going, I mean, this
Well,
sounds,
it's one of those
Yeah.
catch-22s. I mean, I do what I gotta do. Well, this week I've been dealing in poop and mold, so
you're saying,
It's
we
what I have
haven't
to
had
do.
complaints, and I
if
have,
I have to do extra work, that's fine.
you know,
Um,
so you're gonna go count people's chickens and issue
no,
them
the
citations.
code enforcement officer's gonna go count the chickens. I'm gonna go there if they have rats,
Which they're going to.
if they have pooping in the neighbors.
Has there been,
yard.
complaints of rats anywhere?
I have a lot of complaints of rodents, especially down by Town Line Plaza, especially people going to the movies, because of the large amount of grain that
Yeah.
Tractor Supply has.
Okay.
It's the
yeah.
grain that brings them, it's not
Right.
the creature, it's the grain, especially
Okay.
the corn-laden grain.
Mhm.
I had someone call me in the beginning of the summer,
So maybe the ordinance should be about the leaving of food out. Corn.
Well,
How are you gonna feed them if you don't leave it out?
I don't know.
You're gonna invite them in the house for dinner?
I like some of this verbiage in here. I mean, I like the,
it covers a lot.
I think if they had to be in a coop, is that the right word?
Yes.
Well, there's the coop and then there's the pen, it's not like an enclosure.
No, but I mean, you're gonna have your
on this one.
your little hen house,
Mhm.
and then you're gonna have 32 square feet
Mhm.
that they can run around in.
Mhm.
And as long as they stay in that 32 square feet, I think you're okay, but I don't want my neighbors chickens in my yard.
Can that be just in your area then?
Well, that's why we go back and we zone it in
Yeah,
different areas.
my district.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, it makes sense, but I'm just saying that it hasn't been a problem yet, I don't think.
Well,
Are we looking for?
did you, Catherine, did you ever check out that situation on that third floor of that house?
Yep,
I think that house has new
and it's
tenants.
just something I'm gonna have to watch, because these are his pets.
Yes.
Is that,
How many of them are
Chickens?
there?
Pardon?
How many of them are there?
He said he just has 2 right now.
I think there's new occupants in that house because there were lights on there, trucks in the driveway.
So I told him that I would pay attention, I mean, this,
That's
the
true.
most, I don't care if he wants to keep pigeons in his house, if they fly from room to room, that's his business. As long as they don't impose, anything upon his neighbors and that could be determined as a nuisance. So he's got that pen sitting outside his house, I said, you know, who cleans that out? Where does the manure go? When it rains, that's gonna come down the side of your house and dribble into the road or the sidewalk. I said, that can't take place, so you're gonna have to manage that. They bring rats. As long as they're confined to his house, that's okay. But when they become a nuisance to somebody else, it's not okay. So I went over a few things with them, but it's one of those things I'm gonna have to pay attention to. You know, if he starts having 20 or 30 birds, are those now pets? Is it a hobby? Or is it food? But it creates an issue. The hard thing is, the only thing I have to enforce it is the nuisance law, which is 147. So, a little hard. A lot of that is subjective.
I think if it goes unregulated, we're just gonna be overrun.
Well, that's,
Well, you're gonna be turning, you know, the village area into a farm area. It's no longer going to be, you know, residential. You're gonna have chickens in every backyard and, you know,
I
You know.
don't see that
and
happening.
you'll hear click, click, click. Especially,
Hopefully my daughter doesn't watch this. She wants chickens.
Is it possible to have like a guideline of common sense, guideline like this is a cooperative extension?
they have best management
Or it's-
practices.
Yeah,
The-
something like that. And then it says, you know, it's just common sense stuff.
But the best management practices are, would you, could you please? That's
I
not.
know, I know, it's not
You don't
enforceable.
have- Well, to a
But-
certain extent it is enforceable. Here's the thing, and I just enforced, a couple of years ago up on School Street, these people bought one of the houses and they wanted to be farmers, and that's great, wonderful. Except that they were storing the manure on top of the little brook that ran through the property. And down into the brook that ends up down at the police station. So,
So
and then I
that's
told them they had to
a-
move that manure, and what they did is they were great, they moved it all up and piled it up about 10 feet uphill from the brook. So, I mean, that's where I thought it was my mistake, that's where I thought common sense would come into play. So I did photocopy the best management practices of handling manure, and said, okay, I think you need to read this, and that's gonna have to be moved again, and it can't be uphill from the street.
Oh.
They had,
So there was already something in a law
in place,
already
but see,
in
I can,
place.
the reason that I can enforce is because I enforce under the nuisance law, and the wetlands ordinance takes over with Brooks, where
Right.
best management practice doesn't.
That's
So,
fine, yeah.
you know, it's like a 3-part thing for me to enforce that. You know, the other thing they did is they were plowing out for garden. So instead of plowing, you know, across the hill like this, they plowed up the hill. And, you know, the brook turned brown with the next rainstorm. It was, you know, and they're marvelous people, trying really hard to have their little farm, but,
Same ones about the forest, right?
yeah, they abutted it. So, I mean, there's issues.
I mean,
You can
that's-
rely on people that have common sense, but their common sense is not the general
Well, I
public.
mean,
Because
That's
these
what
were
I'm
not,
saying is-
these people aren't,
They're not farmers.
they're not
right.
farmers. They
Right.
moved from the
No.
city to be in an agricultural area and they had no clue. I mean, they
Well,
weren't
I'm
being
not-
malicious.
I'm totally not saying everybody's gonna have common sense, that would never happen.
Thank you.
I mean, I just don't wanna, we already have nuisance laws, I just wanna be careful about suddenly introducing a whole bunch of laws, and then this has to go before town meeting, right?
Yes.
So all the chicken lovers are gonna be, this is, you know, we just be careful.
And about Toad Street uprising.
Yes. Good.
I don't really think so, but
Well.
what's the consensus of the board on,
I think it's gonna be difficult to police without some kind of ordinance. I think that for
I'll call on you just a minute.
the
because-
safety of the animals, because a lot of this has to do with safety, you need some kind of ordinance. People don't understand, it's like, one of my notes on this is winterization. Somebody keeps chickens over, you know, I really hate to go see them in a three-sided, you know, nothing to keep them from the winter, and chickens aren't designed to be out in the cold, so some sort of heat would have to be there. That's, I don't know, maybe SPCA if it comes down to it. I like the slaughtering
that's
of animals
really-
part, only inside a building.
We always kill chickens outside.
It's not nice.
That's what we're gonna do, gonna move something, bring it in the house,
I just, you know,
hang it up in the shower.
There's no way that I would kill anything inside.
my feeling, and this is, I'm just thinking out loud, my feeling is that we haven't had a serious problem yet. We've had people who came in and requested to have chickens, they came to the planning board, they lived in the agricultural section, there wasn't an issue. That particular people, there's a whole farm next to them. I guess my feeling is that till the need really arises, I don't see any point in making additional ordinances for something that's not a problem. To me, it's almost like asking for a problem by initiating it.
You start bringing chickens into this residential neighborhood, you're gonna have a problem without an ordinance, without control over it.
I agree, but we haven't had that situation yet,
Right.
Right, it's not,
so
so,
why
because right now,
do it?
it's not allowed. The question really with this is, are you going to allow it? That's the question. And if you're going to allow them to keep chickens in other than the agricultural area, which I think is the only place they can keep them now,
Yeah,
Well,
Or you can have an
without a-
ordinance
Without an
regulating it.
exception, right? Without an exception. So that's one of the things
so
that we
basically
need to-
anybody can keep a chicken anywhere.
Right, that's what, I mean, so,
Deduct that.
one of the things was taking it out of the zoning, so that people don't have to go before the zoning board to get an exception. We don't want that, that's kind of,
We already have a horse across from the high school in a residential
Well,
neighborhood.
why did, okay, we won't go, that was just,
So-
Hasn't died yet.
I have a two-part question maybe. First one, there was a neighbor of mine they were told by the town of Tilton they could do whatever they want with their land.
Of course, they're gonna tell you that they were told
So,
that, but anyway.
so this is regard to livestock. So they were told that they could do whatever.
They're saying that they were told that they could do
Well,
whatever. Let's
Okay,
leave
but
it
now,
there.
let's just say, I go out and I buy 25 chickens, okay? And I put them in my yard. I can do that, right?
But here's the question, where are you?
I'm in the village residential.
And
no,
your
you
neighbor that
can't.
lives in the village residential said they could do anything they wanted with animals?
That's what they were told by a member of the board of selectmen that they could do whatever they like.
Well,
They,
remember, the
their
Board of Selectmen was
recollection,
incorrect.
their interpretation of that conversation, is incorrect, or they were
So,
told
but,
correct?
so now,
And
okay, but,
remember, the member of the board of selection is not the planning board member.
I'm just saying,
And you
so-
should have chuckled at that.
so now, so if I go out and buy 25 chickens, right? And all of a sudden the town,
You're gonna be
Bans
shut
it.
down. It's
What do I
already
do?
banned.
Yeah, it's been banned, it's
Yeah.
not permitted in the village residential district.
Period.
Well, that's what I thought.
You're gonna get a visit from the
No.
code enforcement officer who's gonna tell you, get rid of these chickens or be fined.
What's the fine?
Is it a violation?
You get to swallow.
Up to $1,000 a day for every day of infraction is a violation.
Is that for
That's for a
zoning ordinance
violation.
violation? Okay.
Well, no, I'm trying to find out, okay, let's say,
Yeah.
let's try to be proactive on something up
When were you told that?
just recently. When there was the piece of land that was auctioned off in the neighborhood.
That person didn't get that piece of land though.
I understand that, but in their due diligence or whatever, when they were trying to investigate that, they said they contacted the town and that they were told that they could put whatever they wanted on that land when it came to livestock.
So
Well, they were
what
wrong.
is your
Well, I
point?
know that, but so now, where is,
Well, wrong.
so does the common person know where they can put livestock in town? If my daughter comes home and says, I wanna go, they come home at Easter time with 25 chicks that they got at Agway, or 10 chicks that they got at
You
Agway.
better eat them.
Can you afford $1,000 a day?
No, I can't, but what I'm saying is, so in a way, we already have an ordinance.
We do,
It says no.
and
Okay.
my feeling is that one of the major benefits of putting in place more regulation would be that you could now allow chickens in the village residential, the downtown district, or let's say higher residential districts, because you've got conditions as to how it's so well conditioned that it's not gonna have a negative impact on neighbors. What I'm hearing from you, what you're saying is important for two reasons. One, because you're a resident of the village residential district, and two, because you're a planning board member, is that you'd rather not see chickens in those high-density areas. And if that's the feeling of the town, then I definitely don't think this year is the time to go forward with the ordinance, because as Chairman Alden pointed out, it's really not a major problem right now. So the negatives that it would be eliminating aren't really staring us in the face right now. And again, those positives that I was envisioning it potentially bringing aren't necessarily positives in the mind of, may not be positives in the mind of citizens. So my thought would be, if that's the case, then we've got a lot bigger, we've got things that need to be fixed in the zoning ordinance. This is
Exactly.
kind of a nicety. So I don't know.
So if,
How many people have called up and asked if they can keep chickens in these areas?
Right, I think it's, there's let's say between 4 and 6.
In this whole
In the
entire
village
year?
district?
Yeah. In the whole,
What
yeah.
was the head count?
What?
Like, did they say, can I get 2 chickens, or did they give a head count per?
No, I mean, many of them wound up, 2 or 3 of them went to the ZBA, right, and got their special exceptions. But I don't remember.
So-
I'm just curious if they
12
mentioned.
chickens, I think, was one of them.
One was
That's
what?
just a curiosity
12?
question.
I think it was 12 that one of the people
And they got
saw.
their exception to have them?
They did. I don't think any of those special exceptions have been denied, so it's working.
And it's in the village district.
Oh, no, sorry, I don't know. I don't recall.
so,
I don't think they're.
so if I walk down the street tomorrow, let's just say. I'm
Not
walking-
village
I'm
district,
walking
no,
down my
because that
street.
wouldn't be allowed by special.
Right.
These were districts where it was allowed by
Oh,
special
walk
exception,
down.
sorry. Yeah.
I'm gonna walk down. So if I'm walking down my street tomorrow, walking my dog, and I see that my neighbor has a little hen house that they're building,
Yeah.
and I call the town, say, hey, there's ABC house.
Yep.
So they're gonna send the code enforcement officer.
We just showed them.
Well, the town will make it, I believe the town will make a decision that is a violation of zoning ordinance, and then, the town would make a decision as to an enforcement strategy.
If hens appeared in this hen house.
Well, just saying. There's a hen house, there's an outhouse, so I don't know which one is which, but I'll wait till I see feathers. And
What are you gonna do for the outhouse? Wait, we see what?
We'll test it.
Camera.
Test it.
Okay.
I'm fine with that, I just wanna make sure that there's something in place so that as we move forward into this town, that we're gonna be ready for it when people do it.
Do we have a consensus then that at this point in time, we have all of the ordinances we need necessary to take care of the issues? And should any big craze comes up for chickens, then we'll address it?
I think we
Yes,
need
I agree.
to, pay attention to the zoning board granting the special exceptions for people to have them, because the more and more people that have them,
More issues.
it becomes an issue. I mean, right now, without this, as health officer, like I said, I have a nuisance law that I can use, but it's very subjective on my part. It's what I deem
Find out where
as a
they are.
nuisance.
It
So,
would be in the notes, in minutes, right?
I think there's some up 132, isn't there?
I can't remember right now, sorry.
But,
Can't
we may want to,
Yeah, we
do
can track it
something.
and
So track
watch it.
we definitely won't have it for this year, it would be next year you'd be looking at it, so you'd have a whole year
Mm.
to
Yeah,
watch it.
okay. Next, density. I think that's an issue. I don't know how anybody else feels.
I think our recent cases is an example of where some places it doesn't make sense.
Right,
Down along that Route 3 area,
yep,
makes no sense, those people that came in, they wanted to build those 2 homes.
yep.
Right.
And we have, you know, what's a seasonal dwelling unit, and the one you
Are
mentioned
we
just
talking
now.
density or dwelling units now?
Well, both, sort of.
The way, Chairman Alden, sorry to interrupt, Chairman Alden wasn't here at the last meeting, I think the way we worded it at the last meeting was dwelling unit density, and to mean the number of dwelling units you can have per lot, not necessarily per acre. Sorry.
Some places it does make sense, some it doesn't, what we currently have. I think it makes sense for this compact area of town, I think we're pretty dense. But when you get
Resort
to
commercial.
the resort
and-
commercial and, the other one out there, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you have pieces of property that aren't developed that, you know, potentially could be, and, bring in great revenue for the
Yeah.
town.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yes, I agree.
But you'd have to study that sucker right there.
Yeah,
One area at a time.
You can see the large tracts of land.
yeah.
There will remain large tracts of land, and that's not a bad thing either. We need a certain amount of green space, although we get a lot of it up in the RA. Am I looking at Frank Dalton's property? I am, aren't I? That big
Yes,
space
you are.
right there.
Where,
Are both of those pieces his?
where?
This is Frank. Right here. Is he not? No, he isn't. No, that's a causeway. That's the development.
Oh,
Yeah, that's them.
oh.
This
okay.
is Frank right here,
Okay,
right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's Frank.
What development is that?
Oh. No.
That was supposed to be the roadway in.
This is the cause, yeah, it's by the roadway in.
Oh, the
Yeah, Willis Farm
anchorage?
Shores.
Anchorage.
No,
No, Willis
this
Farm
is, the
Shores.
anchorage is over here.
It's that little, it was built, they built like
That's the
Two or four
causeway, the
buildings.
cottages, the roadway in, the condos,
Okay, I know what you mean, yeah,
steep slopes in here.
yeah.
It was like a project, then the real estate market crashed and that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they stopped.
Yeah.
Because they came in,
Yeah.
they were gonna do cluster developments up in here,
Yeah,
but they stopped, they just
Oh,
built
okay.
these here.
Yeah,
Built
yeah,
up the
right,
first-
okay, gotcha.
First building.
This is,
are those Nick's?
this is where the cabaret used to be. This is the,
This is fun.
this is Anchorage, this is Anchorage property right here. That's Anchorage property, or Fleischaker property. That's the Anchorage itself. That's a huge tract. That's, Reardon, or Atherton's. But you can, you know,
There's an Atherton Hill Road there, isn't there?
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, okay.
This one is in, is that Lancaster? I
No.
lost my way now.
Yeah, but where that kind of triangle, where those three lines meet,
Yeah,
that's
that's
Lancaster.
like-
That's Lancaster right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. This is too bad. This was always speculated on, but now it's rural agriculture, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. That's too bad. Because that's a very developable piece of property. Right there, from this area here. It's really not in an agricultural area. That's, you know, here. So,
It's,
and then, you've got this wonderful, although, what is the density for RG? That's,
Zero.
you can't have any?
What am I thinking of? There's,
This is, 7 points. Former
yeah,
QT.
RG is 0.
That's the asbestos site. They came in with a conceptual, that had dwelling units on it.
Right.
And I thought we created a
What's our
zone,
Regional commercial.
but I
No,
thought that
no.
this, I thought this was a separate,
No, resort commercial.
I thought
wish they were
this-
different. Like
you
more
see how this is blocking off through here?
Yeah,
I thought this was like RGA or 2 or something.
Oh,
I thought we created a separate, no, really.
I know, you see, when you look at the zones and the zoning ordinance, there's something about that.
Yeah,
Or where did I see that? I think, yeah.
that allowed for, that type of development there because there was, retirement community and, regular family type community. When they came in with that conceptual, it was really like another community, movie theaters, stores, substation,
Like a
police
lifestyle
and fire,
store.
it
Are
was,
you-
yeah.
You're saying mixed use too? Is that what it is?
Is that what it was?
There's a mixed use too.
But that's what I thought was
In March
developed for this
2005.
property,
Yeah, oh,
but this is marked
Oh.
RG.
oh.
So is this a mistake?
Perhaps. A mixed-use 2 district is designed to accommodate a variety of residential, retail, institutional, recreation, and service uses in an integrated planned village-like setting where water and sewer service is available. This district was approved in March 2005, but is not shown on the tax map for the town of Tilton as no land has been approved for the district at the present time. Is that the one?
That's the one, I think that's what it was supposed to be.
Okay.
But nevertheless, you can see where our density doesn't make sense
Well,
in a lot of
Yeah.
areas. But that's kind of a complicated,
it is, yeah, I didn't
I
really,
mean, it's really,
especially at 840.
yeah, it's really hard to sit here and say, well, you know, we should have the density for this area, this, and,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean,
I
right.
have zoning ordinances from the 70s
Uh-huh.
and the 80s before, well, this was changed in the 2000s anyway, so
Yeah.
you see what it was, because that tells you how it was developed.
Yeah.
If you go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So it takes some studying, well, it takes some studying to understand how we got to look the way we do, as far as
Yeah.
density,
You should probably give us a workshop.
and
Well,
and where you wanna go, and then you have to remember our buddy that I usually carry around, but I don't have, which is our master plan. How does our master plan project us to look like?
Right.
And you'd have to go to the, what, 98 one?
Yeah.
What are we supposed to look like in the future? What is our vision? So with those
We can
documents.
change that too.
Yeah, it's gonna all be retirement community.
Hey,
We're chickens in the end.
With
Yeah.
chickens allowed.
it's
But
better
in,
than
and
the,
indoor slaughtering.
So we're gonna start a
it's
meeting.
easier on the tax base, well, to a certain extent. Our, tax rate for the school went up because our
Yes, it did.
school population went up.
Yep,
Huh.
Northfields went down.
I call it Black Tuesday.
Is that an automatic, is that automatic? School population goes up, that's school?
Yeah. Because of the formula.
Because of the formula.
Portion.
Oh.
The committee that was appointed didn't vote to change it. It still should be finagled a little bit, just my opinion.
Hmm.
But anyway.
Northfield's
so-
happy.
Oh, no, Northfield's, well, they're getting happy. I wouldn't like their tax rate. But anyway, that's my spiel on density. So what other time can I wait?
I don't know, but
I think a short history of the master plan since the
Oh.
70s.
can we, it's getting late. Does anybody else?
I think everyone, my sense, maybe just because I'm getting tired, is that as a group, we're
I
starting to
think
get a
we're,
little
I can
tired,
see
yeah.
some people are texting, James will
No,
remain.
What?
What?
I am in this damn.
Some people are farming, thinking about getting these
Oh, we didn't
chickens.
table it. No, we didn't table it.
I know.
Hey, I'm hoping I don't have to go home and catch a pig.
Oh,
I wish you'd take care of those pigs in the. All right,
Jesus,
I'll entertain a motion
she's
to
spoiled.
Second?
adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There's already a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Are you gonna send us a study plan for the next meeting?
I will, yeah, I'll work with,
Proposed study
yeah,
plan.
yeah.
I think Billy.
We'll have a study party. We'll have a study party at Applebee's.
When?
I don't know.
I'll call you.
After 9 one night.
I'll call you.
After.